And welcome everybody to another edition of the GSMC Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Kenneth, and it's great to have you guys here on this Monday, November 18th. We have a lot to talk about on the show today. Before I get into that, just want to remind you guys, as always, to tip or donate and get your comments recognized. Make sure to hit that super chat button in the chat if you want to see me acknowledge any thought or comment you may have throughout the live broadcast. Makes the show more lively, more entertaining between myself, the host, and you guys, the viewers. We appreciate you guys' viewership each and every day, so any contribution you can make to the show means the world to us as we put out content for you guys each and every day. And also, the other way to help out the show is by going to the link at the bottom of the show segment on the ticker, GSMCPodcast.net. That is GSMCPodcast.net. So let's get into what we were going to discuss for today. So we're going to start off the show. We're going to talk about the biggest game of the weekend, and that was between the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs. The Bills giving the Chiefs their first loss of the season. So we'll get into that in a second. We'll also talk about, in the second part of the show, the Sunday night game from last night, which was also a great game between the Bengals and the Chargers. The Chargers winning late, 34-27, and we will discuss that. We'll get into the Steelers and their win over the Ravens. We'll also talk about the Packers and their win against the Bears, continuing their winning streak against the Bears, and then we'll talk about the game tonight, the Battle of Texas between the Houston Texans and the Dallas Cowboys. So let's get into the first topic, which is talking about the highly anticipated game between the Bills and the Chiefs. And it lived up to it. It was a good game, but the Bills came away with the win. And, I talked about this last week that, the Bills, they win against the Chiefs. They beat them in the regular season. And they continued that here. And I think it was also really important because also they were at home, defend your home turf. And they did indeed do that. And again, I kept saying at some point the Chiefs were going to lose. And it was, in fact, this game here. And, you got to credit Josh Allen because he made the difference in this game. And Patrick Mahomes, he had 3 touchdowns in this game, but also had a couple of picks. One of them was at the end where, the Chiefs were trying to, get something. They were down by, they ended up losing by 9 here. But, they had the ball at the end, and Mahomes was kind of just throwing it down the field to Kelsey and hoping that he would catch it, but it ended up getting picked off. But Josh Allen made the difference in this game. He was spectacular. And Jim Nantz said it on the call, the play of the year on fourth down and 2, you got to pick it up. And he did, and he took it to the house for a touchdown to put them up 29-21, and then, of course, the extra point by Tyler Bass. That was the biggest play of the game. And, the Chiefs, they hung around, and we thought once it was 20. What was the score? It was 23-21. You thought the Chiefs were maybe going to pull it off at the end because they always find a way to win, but that was not the case. The Bills, the Chiefs tried to creep through the back door, and the Bills slammed the door on them with that Josh Allen touchdown run. So to start off the game, the Chiefs got the ball, and right away, second play of the game or third play of the game, Patrick Mahomes throws a pick, gets intercepted, and the Bills turned that into 6 points. Now, Tyler Bass ended up missing the extra point, but you had a nice pitch and catch. Josh Allen to Amari Cooper for 30 yards. It was good to have him back. And the Bills, the other thing, too, is with them, is they were shorthanded. There was no Keon Coleman in this game. There was no Dalton Kincaid. But, Amari Cooper getting him back because, he missed some time. I believe it was with the wrist injury. You also had Khalil Shakir making some big catches as well. Dawson Knox, of course, took on a bigger role in this game. So, the Bills still were able to get it done with some of their guys being out. But, yeah, Josh Allen led them down the field, and James Cook from 3 yards out scored a touchdown. So that made it 6-0, and like I said, Tyler Bass missed the extra point. So a couple of punts, and then the Chiefs, nice drive by them. 11 plays, 88 yards down the field. He had a 31-yard reception by Xavier Worthy. He had a good first half, but then, really didn't do anything in the second half. There was another pass later in the game where he was wide open, and, it was a big gain, but he ended up being out of bounds. So that was a tough break for the Chiefs there. But, yeah, Mahomes found Worthy later in the drive from 1 yard out. So the Chiefs went up 7-6. Then the Bills, they answered with a touchdown drive of their own. Josh Allen connected with Dawson Knox for 24 yards and another 25 yards to Amari Cooper, and another James Cook touchdown from 6 yards out. So that made it 13-7. Then the Chiefs ended up punting, and then Josh Allen threw a pick. Was trying to hit Dawson Knox, and that ended up getting intercepted. This was on 4th and 3, and they were driving. They were in Chiefs territory, and yeah, so he ended up getting picked off, and the Chiefs turned that into a touchdown. Mahomes connected with Noah Gray for a 2-yard touchdown. That was on 3rd and goal. And then the Bills, they went down the field. Tyler Bass, before the end of the half, kicked a field goal, a 33-yarder. So the Bills were winning at the half 16-14. And then you had a lot of punts in the third quarter, but then finally the Bills scored a touchdown. They went 10 plays, 83 yards. They went up 23-14, and that was a Josh Allen to Curtis Samuel. He was another guy that stepped up. Touchdown, 12 yards out. So yeah, that made it 23-14. And then in the fourth quarter, you had the Chiefs go 10 plays, 70 yards down the field, and Mahomes connected with Noah Gray for yet another touchdown. And that's when you thought at that point, all right, the Chiefs are going to find a way to pull this off. But not so fast, because the Bills went 12 plays, 70 yards, and they had to pick it up on 4th and 2 from the 26, and Josh Allen scrambled for a 26-yard touchdown run, and that pretty much iced the game. And like I said, then the Chiefs got the ball back, and Mahomes trying to hit Kelsey on 4th and 13 and ends up getting picked off, and the Bills end up winning the game. There actually was a penalty because Mahomes actually picked up an 18-yard, had an 18-yard gain, but Jawan Taylor, who has really killed them with the holding penalties or just penalties in general, there was a holding on him, so that got called back, and then, like I said, Mahomes ended up throwing a pick. So Mahomes went 23 of 33 for 196 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Kareem Hunt, 60 yards on the ground. Xavier Worthy, the leading receiver, 4 receptions for 61 yards and a touchdown. DeAndre Hopkins, 3 for 29. Chiefs defense, no sacks on the day off of Josh Allen. And then speaking of Josh Allen, 27 of 40, he went 262 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He was the leading rusher. He had 55 yards on the ground and a touchdown. James Cook, quiet day on the ground, but he had 2 rushing touchdowns. Khalil Shakir, 8 receptions for 70 yards. He got banged up in this game, but he did come back quickly. Curtis Samuel had a couple of big plays, had the touchdown reception. Amari Cooper, the 2 big catches, 2 receptions for 55 yards. Dawson Knox had 4 for 40. And then for the Bills defense, they had 2 sacks off of Mahomes. And Tyler Bass, he was 3 for 4 on extra points. And the Bills improved to 9-2. The Chiefs dropped to 2-1. So that's big. I mean, you know, if the Chiefs lose next week and the Bills pick up a win, then the Bills have the 1 seed. But the Chiefs are playing the Panthers, so it's probably not going to happen. But the Chiefs do have some games on the schedule that they could lose. You know, you got the Chargers coming up soon, week 14. You got the Texans. You're at the Steelers. You're at the Broncos. So those are tough games there. And the Bills, you know, they still got the Jets coming up on the schedule. They got the Patriots twice. But they do have to get through the Niners, who they have after the bye week. They go into the bye next week. Then they have the Niners out of the bye. Then you got the Rams. And then you got the Lions. So those are 3 tough games. And we're not going to get to the Niners today, but they did lose a heartbreaker yesterday. But that's going to be a tough game for the Bills. But give them all the props in the world. You know, they showed up for this game. And, you know, Josh Allen, like I said, made all the difference with that touchdown run. That was big. And look, it's only a regular season game. I get it. All right, you got to see what they can do in the postseason now. You know, because these teams most likely will meet again in the playoffs. We'll have to wait and see on that. But, you know, Josh Allen showed up. And, you know, that touchdown run that he had, you know, meant something. You know, the Bills were not losing this game. And, you know, they pick up the win. Look, for the Chiefs, the offense still is not clicking. Mahomes is turning the ball over. You know, he hasn't been great this season. But you know what? The Chiefs are 9-1. And they're in the driver's seat to win the division. They're going, and they still have home field advantage. It's right in front of them, as the manager of the Yankees, Aaron Boone, likes to say. So they just gotta start clicking on offense, and I think they will. You know, you got Juju Smith-Schuster back for this game. He didn't really do much, but And the other thing, too, is you're going to be getting Isaiah Pacheco back. I saw that he's targeting a Week 12 return. So getting him back is huge, and Kareem Hunt has done a nice job filling in for him. So you got those two guys coming out of the backfield. Obviously, Travis Kelce had a quiet day yesterday, but he's been good in recent weeks. The Chiefs are going to be okay. They're going to make the playoffs. They're going to be one of the top teams in the AFC. And, once we get to the playoffs, they're going to flip that switch. And if they don't, then, it's back to the drawing board for them. But, they were not going undefeated. They just weren't. I did not believe that this team was going to do it. They offensively, they kind of reminded me of the 2019 Patriots, right? The 2019 Patriots, because they started off undefeated, and I think they were, what were they, 9-0, 10-0, and then they played against the Ravens, and Lamar Jackson's first MVP year, and they ended up winning against them. So it's just, I didn't believe this team was going to go undefeated. I just didn't believe it. So it's similar vibes with those two teams. But that doesn't mean that the Chiefs can't go and win the Super Bowl. It's just, I just didn't think they were going to go undefeated. And the Bills, this was the game that a lot of people circled, including myself, as the game that they will lose. And they did. They did. But, they hung in there. And, if it wasn't for Josh Allen picking up that fourth down and scoring a touchdown, then who knows what happens. But the Bills end up getting the win. Give them credit. They showed up. And, they're going to win the division pretty easily. Well, their division pretty easily. And we'll see where they end up finishing in terms of seeding. Because right now, the way it looks, they're going to have either the 1 or the 2. So, but let me know what you guys think about this game. What were your takeaways from it? Let me know in the comments. So we are going to take our first break of the show. And then when we come back, we will discuss the Sunday night game from last night between the Chargers and the Bengals. So, with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.